Hi, this is the help video for Access Chapter 6, Problem Solve B, and this will be the last movie for that assignment. And we're going to start on step 8, and we'll do through the end of the assignment. So the step 8, 9, and 10 all have to do with using date functions as methods to build calculated fields. And what I have on the screen is from the ebook. It's on page, let's see, I don't know. I always get see if I can find where it begins here. Yeah, 361. This quick reference, these make a paper clip on this page. So this is the setting for the date interval. So if you wanted to show an answer as a year, then you would do Y, 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 Y. If we wanted to show it in months, how many months in between, let's say 2 dates, you would use an M. If you wanted day, it would be D, right? Hour, minute, second. So this is an important page in your book. So the first function that we're going to look at is the date diff function. And that function allows you to determine the number between 2 dates and whatever that interval is. In the example that they're talking about here, it's months, right? So how many months between the earlier date and the later date? And that's all you're doing. So you have to use that code that I was just showing you from your book as the interval, date 1, date 2, and it will give you the difference. So we're going to build this query on table payments. So let's go ahead and create a query and payments. That's the only field we need, our table we need. So there we go. And we're going to add member ID and payment ID. And then this month since payment is a calculated field. So there's nothing for me to bring down yet. So let's do member ID and payment date. So then we need to calculate the number of months since the last payment using the date diff function. So we're going to build a new calculated field. So we go to the first empty column in the field row, right click, and I'm going to zoom. First thing is always, what is the name of this new calculated field? So it's going to be months since payment colon. Then we're going to use this date diff function. Because it's a function, you put your parentheses. And then here's the 3 things we need to supply separated by a comma. Interval, earlier date, later date. So first off, this says the number of months. So we're going to do an M. That's the interval I want. And I got that from right here, month. These are the intervals. So I'm using a month. The earlier date would be the payment date, right? So payment date, and that's right here, payment date, comma. And then how do you come up with the current date, right? Well, we've done that before, but you need to kind of think about, how do I do that? Well, it's the date function, right? Remember, and you put nothing inside the parentheses and it returns the system date. And then we put another parentheses. And so that may look odd, but remember, this is a function and there's an open and a close parentheses. This is a function. There's an open and a close parentheses. We're not supplying anything to this date function. We're just picking up the system date. So this month will change based upon the current date. So let's go ahead and do OK. And then let's run it and see what we get. Okay, so payment dates here and months since the payments have been made, right? So look, payment hasn't been made since 2016, 60 months. So that looks good. So we're going to save this one and we're going to call it QRY date diff months and close that up. Mark off, yay, number 8 is done. So now we're going to look at date add, right? So that's step number 9 is the date add function. Okay, so we're going to work on this 9, and there's a couple things in here that I don't really like, and I don't recommend that you do that. And I'll tell you when we get to it. But we're going to use this date add function. And what the date add function does is it adds this a specified number of days, weeks, years, whatever interval you provide, right? Whatever interval you're saying you're adding, a number and the date. So here is the format of the function. Date add interval. So let's say the example here is years. So you would do Y, 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 4 Ys. And then how many years are you adding? In the example, they're saying 4. And then you put in a date that you're adding from. So here you're adding Y, 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 4. And then here's the date. And it would return 4 years in the future. So what we're going to do is we're going to use table member and table payments, and we're going to add first name, last name, amount, and payment, and then we're going to create these. This is the thing I think is just super bad form. Do you see how the actual field name of this new calculated field is called date using quote Y quote, and then date using quote WW quote? Just added confusion, I guess. So we're going to go ahead and create our query in design view. We're going to use table member and table payments. And then from there, we're going to pull the fields that already exist, which would be first name, last name, amount, and payment date. Then we're going to start doing this date using, all right, so we're going to go to, it's a calculated field, so we're going to go to the first blank, right click, zoom. First thing we're going to do is put this name, as much as I hate it, due date using Y colon. You know, because this can be anything, but adding this, I don't know, whatever. So then the function is date add. That's the function we're using. That's the function that adds a number of intervals to a date. And the Y, right? So if we come over here and look at what Y is, day of year calculates the same as an interval of D. So we're going to use the interval Y. We're going to add 365 to the payment date. Okay. Let's run it. And here's our payment date. This should be 365 days after it. So then if we go back, so we have the date using Y done. Let's go create this next one. This time it's called date, no, due date using, all right, so we're going to do the same thing, right? Date add. And then this time, what's our interval going to be? Well, we're going to WW, week, right? So we're adding weeks. So WW, and then 52, and then payment date. What do you think we're going to get? Payment date. So we're saying, hey, we're using the interval of weeks we're adding 52 to the payment date. So don't we get the same thing? One day off, right? 1 day off. But what we can see is, depending upon what the number is, you can use different intervals to really achieve the same things. Okay, let's mark number 9 off and move at number 10. The date serial function returns a date based off giving the year, month, and day. Before I go on, I forgot to save this query for step number 9. So let's save this, call it QRY date add, I apologize, and close out of it. Then we can start looking at number 10. Okay, so for number 10, we actually are learning about 2 different date functions. One is date serial and one is date part. So the date serial function returns a date based off of giving year, month, and day, right? So you could also use okay, we'll just skip that. And then date part function returns part of a date. And this would be if you wanted to return just the year of a date, you could do YY, and then the date, it would just return the year or the month or whatever. You're pulling out a part of the date. All right, so we're going to create a query based on table employee and table position. So let's go ahead and start that. Query design, we're going to do table employee and table position, and close that up. And then we're going to use first name and last name and hire date. Then we're going to create 2 new calculated fields. So we're going to, and then after that we're going to put position type, but we're going to do our calculated fields first. So the first one is going to be this benefits start colon. And how you determine benefit start is by using the date serial, and you're using it because they're telling you. Because there's a couple different ways you could do this. Date serial parentheses, because it's a function. And then we're going to pull the year from hire date. Oops, forgot my... We're going to then take month, hire date, and then we're going to take the day of hire date, and that's making each of those elements serial, and we're adding 91 to them because 91 is what when their benefits start. So I'm going to go ahead and do OK, and I'm going to run it. Oh, I got something wrong here. See how I got that parameter box that came up? So it told me, actually, let me make that bad again, so you can tell when that happens what to do. All right. So here, look, it's telling me it can't find this field. Well, that's because I left off the T. So when you get this parameter value and you're not running a parameter, it's a typo. So just look at what it's showing you, and that will tell you where the boo-boo is. So I'm going to put that T in there and see if it runs. There we go. So this tells us 91 days since their hire date when their benefits will start. Okay, so that's good. Then now we want to do 5-year anniversary. So let's zoom out there. And so the 5-year anniversary should display the year that the employee reaches 5 years of employment. You should use the date part function, right? And so that kind of makes sense, right? You want to take when they started, you want to take the year they started and add 5 to it, because that's their 5-year anniversary year. So let's go ahead and do that. So this is going to be called, horrible name again, 5-year anniversary, : The function we're going to use here is date part, and we're using year because it's saying you should calculate using the date part, and we want to add 5 years, right? So you're going to do 5 years. So hire date, comma, and then hire date inside square brackets, like that. And then we're going to plus font it. Let's see if that works for us. I might need another parentheses there, but okay. So they started in 19 and plus 5. That's their 5-year anniversary year. Worked perfect. Then it says we have to add the position type in, and we're going to limit it to, what's it say? Let's run it and just see. We want full-time. So here's one of my tricks is I'm just going to copy that, come back here, paste it in. That way I don't have to worry about it being specific. I'm going to run it just to make sure, okay, they're only full-time. Then I'm going to come back and take that away. Run it again, and we can save it. QRY, date, serial, and part, and we're good. All right, we have one more. We can close this 10. 10 was kind of long. I should have probably done a different movie. Okay, the round function will round a value to the nearest whole number. So we're going to open up query round in design view, and then what we're going to do is we're going to apply that. So what are we going to do? Open the existing, add a new field after the new salary. Name the new field final salary. Okay, I can do that. So let's zoom. Let's call it final salary. : Final salary should display the new salary. So square bracket, new salary, square bracket. Rounded, oops, got to put the round function in here, right? Round, parentheses, new salary, and where are we rounding it to? The nearest dollar, So because I'm rounding it to I don't have to put anything else. I just have to say round, new salary, okay, run it. Here's the new salary. Oh, we got to save it as currency. And look, it rounded to, right, so here's 88, it went up. 50, it went up because of the rules of rounding. So we're going to come back here, property sheet, format, currency, and okay, run it again, and there we go. Save that because we made changes. And we are done with step 11, so you can submit this. Good luck. Thank you.